And what's up? What's up? Welcome into the National Signing Day edition of GC Live. Happy early signing period to Gamecock fans and everybody else out there as South Carolina officially brings in its, at least part of its class of 2021. I am Wes Mitchell. He is Chris Clark. This is, of course, GC Live, brought to you by Affordable Medical Equipment, the fine folks at AffordableMedicalUSA.com. That's 803-926-1493. They are, of course, home of the game day chair. Chris, a little bit different vibe around signing day. We are learning what some other schools and maybe their media have learned in previous, the last few years, what it's like to be covering a coaching change during signing day. So a little bit different around here, but obviously still some guys officially signing with the Gamecocks, and some guys that we're still waiting on, maybe one or two other guys to hop in, but obviously some guys that have already made it official today. And I see down there in the little thumbnail that our friend Colten Gauthier is getting set up. Colton, give me a thumbs up when you're ready to come on, man, and I'll bring you in. He says he's ready. I see him. He's got his he's got everything set up at the house there. We'll bring him in now. Gamecocks commit, now signee, Colton Gothier. Colton, what's going on, man? How you doing?
How's it going? You guys can hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, man. I love the setup. Obviously, a little bit different for you today than maybe it would have been non-COVID times, man.
Yep.
But you're making the best of it. So I was just thinking, we had Ryan Helinski on our live show on the radio 2 years ago, Luke Doty last year. Now we got Colton Gothier, Gamecocks commit, sort of the face of the class. What is it like, Colton, to just officially put pen to paper? I see his dog wants to be on the show as well. Hey, if your dog wants to be on the show, man, he can get on too. We'll give Colton a second there to get back settled in. But Colton, of course, a 4-star commitment to South Carolina, a guy that Chris has really just, I would say, worked really hard to hold this class together, despite all the sort of maybe turmoil and business decisions going on around him. Colton, how did it feel today, man, to talk to Jessica Jackson and make it official and send in your LOI?
Yeah, I mean, it didn't really hit me because I got up obviously early in the morning and signed the e-document and everything. And once I got that phone call from Coach and just really started talking about what we're going to do as a program. And once that Gamecock thing got sent out, really hit me hard. And, I felt really blessed to be where I am. And like I said, it's been a long process, been a long journey, but I've made it here and still got a long ways to go. And I'm just excited to get to work and get to South Carolina.
Colton, Chris Clark here. Hey, appreciate you being on with us, man. Congratulations again. So 2 follow-ups on the calls. Got to find out the dancing with Jessica, I guess virtual dancing. How was that? Who has the superior moves? What type of dancing was it? Tell us about that first, and then I want to ask you about your conversation with Shane Beamer.
Yeah. Yeah, we got after it this morning. I didn't see what she was doing, but I know I probably definitely had her beat. I know for a fact that we were both dancing, though. I can tell you that. But I know if you talk to her, tell her I had the better dance moves. So.
Now, I'm not sure if Shane Beamer was dancing this morning, but I assume you mentioned you had a chance to talk to Coach. You talked to Shane Beamer this morning after you signed. How was that conversation?
Yes, sir. It was a great conversation. Very mutual between the two of us. He said, thanks for trusting in me. And, I just told him the same thing. I was like, thank you for believing in me, Coach. And it's very mutual. And I've been talking to Coach Beamer since he's gotten the job, through FaceTime and text messages and stuff like that. And all through the process, he's continued to stay on me. And we've continued to recruit the class and hold the class together. And I really like Coach Beamer, and I've bought into what he's about. And I think all of our other commits have hopped on board too and bought into that. And that's really all you can ask for. You know what I mean? So, he's laid out a foundation, and I feel like, the early enrollees especially are coming in at a perfect time where he's, brand new, and we're going to be a part of it. And I think we'll all get there, and once we're all there, we'll all buy in as a team, and I think it's going to be really good. And like I said, I've bought in to Coach Beamer. I can tell you for a fact all the other commits have bought in, and I know a lot of the team has as well. And so I'm just excited to get there and be a part of the new era, be a part of something special, and make history. So I'm just very excited, very blessed, and very appreciative. So,
Colton, I remember in one of our probably really early interviews, we talked a long time, and you said how you sort of learned pretty quickly what a business college football is. I think maybe some OCs or quarterbacks coaches at places you had been recruited by had moved on, changed jobs. You got that reminder, obviously, again, man, you already knew it, but you got that reminder with the Muschamp deal. What has that been like to sort of go through that part of things, and why did you sort of feel it was important for you to kind of try to help hold this class together? Because it seems like you sort of took it upon yourself to try to do that, man.
Yeah, so for me, in my high school career, I've had 4 different offense coordinators every year. I've had 3 different head coaches, and I've been to 2 different high schools, and I've moved houses throughout my high school career. So through that process and through that adversity, I've been able to learn how to deal with it, because every year I've had a change, and it's been a major change. It's not just like a strength coach or whatever. It's like a whole offense is changing. And so in 4 years, I've learned how to adjust on the fly, learn different offenses, and literally went from reading a wristband to looking at signals. And I mean, I've been on complete opposite ends of the spectrum as far as the passing offense. And so, in those 4 years, it forces you to mature. It forces you to have a different perspective, and it forces you to learn, like you said, what a business college football is. And so when I got the news that Coach Muschamp got fired, obviously, it's tough because, I love Coach Muschamp, and he was the main recruiter for me. He talked to me every day, and so obviously it was tough. But like I said, just by that process of me having to go through high school of offense coordinator, new high school, new head coach, it's prepared me for moments like that, and it's going to continue to prepare me for moments when I'm in college as well. So like I said, with Coach Muschamp being gone, obviously it is unfortunate, but for me, like I said, it's going to prepare me, and I think it's going to help me in college, and I'm going to be able to do great things, and just learning from that process has helped me out a lot. So like I said, I'm excited, and I can't wait.
Colton, speaking of offense, obviously as a quarterback, you said you're brought into Shane Beamer, what he's doing, but what have you learned about, if anything, about the direction that maybe he wants to go offensively, with how they want to use you, what the scheme's going to look like?
Right. So I haven't heard a lot, just because, obviously we don't have an offense coordinator hired currently. But I do know, as far as just kind of doing my research and looking back and just hearing things from certain people, a lot of RPOs and stuff like that. And he's going to rely on an athletic quarterback. And for me, that's perfect for me. A lot of people think that I'm, just a statue or a pocket passer. And I can tell you, I'm not that. I'm a very athletic quarterback. I'm able to make off-platform throws, do RPOs, throw on the run, and all that stuff. And if you watch the tape every year, it's gotten better and better, and it's going to continue to get better, because I'm going to have better coaches in college. I'm going to have more time to work on it. And so, as far as scheme, like specifics, I couldn't tell you, just because we don't have an offensive coordinator hired. But as far as, me doing my research and talking to people that have been with Coach Beamer, obviously seeing him in Oklahoma and just things like that, he is going to rely on an athletic quarterback. And I feel like that's where I can fit in. That's where I'm the best. And I'm able to come in and hopefully make an immediate impact. And just like I said, just continue to work and put my head down. And like I said, just continue to stay the course, stay the process, and see what happens from there.
Yes, I don't know if you can see it, but Colton, we've
I can
got your
kind of see
highlights
it.
from this past year rolling right now for everybody else to see while we're talking here, man. So, talk to us a little bit more. You just hit it on a little bit, but a little bit more about your development, maybe
Right.
your approach moving forward. And I know I actually talked to Austin Carter Samuels a few
Yeah.
months back, your guy out there, and you were back out in California,
Last
hanging
week.
out with him. So,
Yeah.
tell
Last
us
week.
about that. How has that been? Just sort of growing as a player, but also getting, it's got to be a great experience for somebody your age to be able to go out and see California and experience the world a little bit too, man.
Oh yeah. So I mean, ACS has been with me. I mean, I met him when he started to recruit me at Mizzou. He was my primary recruiter. He was the guy that offered me. And since the beginning of the relationship, I could tell it was just different. He was just a different guy, probably mostly because he's younger and he's played at the level that I'm about to step into. And it's been recent, you know what I mean? It hasn't been like he's 15 years removed. I mean, he's literally like, I'm pretty sure about 4 to 5 years removed from that. So he's extremely relevant, and he's helped me out so much with not only the way that I play, but also the way that I approach the game mentally and how I look at the game and perspective and all those things. And it's pretty cool that you said, it's actually very cool for me to, because I flew out there on my own. That's the second time I've done that. And the flip side of the quarterback thing is to get out and see California. You know what I mean? We're obviously out there. We're working every day. We're working out in the mornings. We're throwing. But then, in the afternoon, we'll go take a ride and we'll go hiking and we'll get on top of a mountain and just, center ourselves and think and do all those things that a lot of quarterback coaches don't do. And so for me, Austin, for me, is not only a coach, but he's a brother for me. And I really can't explain to you how much he's helped me develop, and it's showed up on tape. I mean, I'm watching my tape right now, and it's pretty cool for me to go back and watch my sophomore year tape to my junior year tape to my senior year tape, and you'll see the phases of the game progress each time. Sophomore year to junior year. Okay, junior year, I did that better. What did I not do junior year that I did senior year? So and so. That's what I feel like separates me. And a lot of people like to focus on stars and stats, and it's like that's great and all, but watch the tape. You know what I mean? Sophomore year to junior year to senior year, and I'm not trying to boast or anything, but I'm just saying really I feel like I take pride in my progression in the game, and I know that I work hard, and I know I'm going to continue to keep that same mindset into college, actually level up, because I know when I get there, I got to really step my game up, and that's what I'm looking forward to doing. Like I said, I've came a long way, obviously, if you watch the tape, but the biggest thing for me now is looking forward and understanding that I have a long way to go. And I'm going to take that journey head on. Like I said, I'm going to step into it. I'm going to embrace it. I'm going to get ready for it. And I'm just going to enjoy the process like I am right now. So, yeah.
Colt, you mentioned your progression. What have you grown? Which areas have you grown the most in? I mean, obviously, like you've had arm talent, you had sophomore year.
Oh, yeah.
Size, athleticism, you had those things. So what is it specifically that you've really worked hard on improving over time?
Yeah. So I think the biggest thing from my sophomore year to junior year would be just IQ, just identifying coverage, understanding the game a little bit more. And I think that really showed. And so always continue to improve on that. But I also implemented this coming off of junior year into my senior year in the offseason. I implemented a lot of stretching and a lot of quarterback specific workouts instead of just benching, squatting, power, doing all those lifts. I really toned it down to be specialized. I did a lot of stretching in my hips. I did a lot of shoulder stretching, a lot of shoulder exercises, and I've thrown on the run more this year, and you can see how I turn my hips and I'm more flexible in my back and my hips. And something so small as just stretching 30 minutes a day can make a huge difference. And so I think that's one of the biggest things that I've implemented in is just taking, time to stretch and calm down. And also the preparation for me this year was 10 times more than last year as far as going through identifying coverage, what percentage of coverage do they run on 3rd down and 7, on 3rd and long. And then also this year's offense was a little more college driven. So guys would run routes based off what coverage it was, which allowed me to have a little bit of freedom. I could check plays. I was changing protections based off, you know, if we had field blitz and we're sliding left, I would say flip to slide them right so we could pick it up. So on 3rd and 7, we can convert on 1st down. And so like things like that I've really taken pride in and learning and getting better at, I think has really helped me this year. And you can see it on tape. And so I would say stretching and preparation are the 2 biggest things that I really, really, really took into account this year. And also I naturally grew. So I kind of grew into my body a little bit more. I was 6'3" in May. I grew an inch. So I'm right at 6'4" right now. And so you can see that I'm kind of starting to grow into my body a little bit, and I'm still continuing to grow. And so obviously I'll be, you know, more coordination and things like that. So there's a whole bunch of things I could go on all day about, but those are really the main things that I wanted to touch on of, you know, what I've gotten better at and what I've really started to dive into.
Colton, we've got a listener question here from Jeffrey. Shout out to Jeffrey here. He actually threw us a little tip as well, so we appreciate that, man. Jeffrey wants to know, is the hair coming to Columbia as well? How long have you been growing the hair? And there it is. And can you tell us a little bit about your musical career as well, your hobby there? Because I know people that follow you on Instagram have probably seen you shredding a little bit. So tell us a little bit about all that, man. Your rock and roll alter ego.
Yeah, man. I love the question. Appreciate it. So the hair for me is absolutely coming to Columbia. I can tell you that. I probably won't get much longer than this. But I learned from the GOAT, Colten Garcia. Shout out to him, man. That's why I'm keeping the hair going in. So I'm going to keep the hair for sure going in. And the guitar thing for me is actually funny because I actually picked up a guitar before I ever picked up a football. Growing up, I'll tell you a quick story. My dad had an old beat up truck, and he used to be my coach. And this truck was beat up now. And so he would put in Motley Crue's greatest hits, like CD in the CD player. Well, we listened to it for a week, and then on the way to practice one day, we try to get the CD out, and it won't work. And we had this truck for about 5 years. So about 5 years, every day on the way to practice, we listened to the Motley Crue over and over again. And it just over time, and my dad was the same way growing up. He went to concerts, Guns N' Roses, Motley Crue, Metallica. He's a big headbanger, and so I'll attribute that to him. And just I picked up a guitar, and just naturally I was able to piece things together. And I'm still that way now. I'll hear a song, and I'll pick up a guitar, and I'm able to piece it together. You know what I mean? But so that's really my outlet from football, is playing guitar. And like I said, I don't want to use football to promote my music career. That's not what this is at all. That's my hobby. You know what I mean? Everybody's got to get away. You know, for some people it's fishing, some people it's hunting, some people it may be whatever, but for me it is playing guitar. And like I said, I'm not going to use football to promote that. I'm using the guitar to promote football. But yeah, I mean, I've been playing ever since I was about 5 years old, and I've just stuck with it. And I'm glad that I have, because I feel like that makes me extremely unique. You know, you see people that do play guitar, but I can confidently say probably not as well as me. I can shred now. So like I said, I've been playing since I was 5, and I've stuck with it. And I just fell in love with the era of the 80s rock and stuff like that. And I love music as a whole. Like, I listen to a whole bunch of kinds of music. I mean, if you went through my phone and saw my music, I mean, you're on this end, and then the next minute you're on this. I mean, it's completely opposite ends of the spectrum. I just love music, and I love the process of making it and hearing it and feeling it. And I've just been in love ever since. And so, like I said, that's kind of my outlet away from football. And it's going to continue to be. And, you know, hopefully maybe if, you know, after a big win, if a bar or something wants to do a gig, I'm open to anything. So hit me up.
Good deal. Colton, last thing I got for you, man. So now, you know, you're signed, obviously getting to Columbia next month early. Immediate goals, you know, what are the things that are on your sort of to-do list right away in the short term once you get to Columbia?
Right. As far as personal, you know, I'm not a very big, like, me guy. I'm all about the team. So I think if we had to go personal, I would just say just get acclimated to, you know, the big transition from high school to college. I really think that's it for me, is just to get in there, get my feet wet, and like I said, just do the best that I can. Right? You know, I want to go to bed every night looking back on the day and being like, okay, I did everything I could for the team. I did everything I could for me to get better for the team. I did everything I could to better the university. I did everything I could academically. The list goes on, and I want to be able to check those boxes every night. And it's not for me; it's for the team, it's for the university. And like I said, I'm not a big me guy. And so I think the goals for me coming in are just be able to contribute to the team in any way I can in order to help them be better, whatever that may be. Right? I may be second string guy on the clipboard, or I may be first string guy taking reps. You know what I mean? Like it's whatever my role is. I'm going to do it to the best of my ability, and I'm going to do it for my teammates, and I'm going to do it so that we can win and get better. And I think that's really where my mind's at. And I'm just going to continue to keep that mentality. And like I said, just get familiar with the new coaches and get familiar with school, because it's a big transition. Start building relationships, start getting close with the team, and just start getting acclimated. And that's what I'm most excited for. It's just getting there and meeting everybody and getting with the team, spending time with them, and going to war with them, and workouts in the mornings and all this stuff. And it's a grind, but I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to embrace it, because I know not a lot of people get this opportunity. So I'm extremely blessed and thankful for this opportunity that I have. And I'm going to make the most of it.
Colton, that'll be right around the corner, man. You'll be reporting there first week of January or so. So final thing here. By the way, what type of dog do you have, and what's the dog's name? I know the dog wants to be on the show too.
He's going crazy over here. I had to, every time a person drives by my house, he goes nuts. So I apologize for it. He's chilling up there right now, but yeah, so he's a boxer. He's a German boxer. His name's Bolt. So there was a Disney movie way back in the day about this dog who was lightning fast. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. And so I would watch. That was my favorite movie growing up. And so when we got a dog, I named it Bolt. So funny thing is, I got him in 3rd grade, and yeah, that's my boy. Yeah, that's my. I mean, because he's been through with me through everything. I mean, we've moved houses, and he's been there the whole time through the recruiting process, and after games, and he'd come up to me and all this stuff. So he's getting old, but like I said, yeah, that's my dog. He was going crazy earlier. I apologize, but I think he's chilling right now. So he's
no, you're good, man. We're a very pro dog show here. So if your whole family in there right now as well, or is it just you?
No, it's just me.
Okay, I got you. So final thing here, man. We've got like 350 Gamecock fans on here watching. So maybe if you want to give a final shout out or some final thoughts to them, just whatever message. And then I think you said you're going live on your Instagram at some point. Tell them about all that, just so if they want to watch that they can.
Yeah. So appreciate you guys tuning in. This goes to all Gamecock fans. I appreciate the support. Me and my family have received a ton of support throughout the process, and a bunch more today. And I'm extremely thankful to be a part of the best fan base in the nation. Extremely blessed. Thank you guys for all the support. Since the beginning, all the way towards the end, you guys have showed me and my family nothing but love and support. We can't thank you enough for that. And my way of giving back is, like I said, promising to all the fans and the universities and the coaches, and I'm going to do my best every single day to help bring a championship back to South Carolina and do everything that we can to achieve that. I'm going live on my Instagram at 4 o'clock. My Instagram is at Colten Gauthier. It's on Twitter. It's on my Instagram. It's all over the place. I'll be going live, and I'll be signing the paper copies of my NLI and getting that set up and getting everything signed. I've already signed. It's already a done deal, but this is just, pen to paper, like a physical thing for me to do. And I'll have a picture of me up here on the TV. I'll have my family. I'll have more things set up here, and it's gonna be fun. Can't wait to see you guys there. Appreciate you guys tuning in, and thank you guys so much.
Colton, great stuff as always, man. Y'all heard him. Check it out. Instagram is at Colton Gothier. Go check out his Twitter. You can find the link there as well. Colton, man, we appreciate the time. Enjoy your day. It's been great getting to know you, getting to know your family a little bit, man. You deserve it, so enjoy it. And, hey, Travis says maybe we get you out there for the national anthem for a big game sometime,
Hey, so
man. How
that
about
was
that?
actually an idea at my high school. They wanted me to do the national anthem before the game, and I'm completely open to that. I will absolutely do it in my full gear, and I'll play the national anthem. Let's do it.
Hey, we got to start pushing that idea, man. But again, like I said, dude, we appreciate the time. Enjoy your day, and we'll talk to you soon, okay, man?
Yes, sir. I appreciate you guys.
Yep, that's Colton Gothier, brand new Gamecocks commit. He's officially signed. He'll be signing that paper a little bit later on today. And then you'll be seeing him at 4 o'clock on Instagram. Then you'll be seeing him in the Garnet in Black starting out in January. Continuing our trend, we get the Gamecock quarterback every single year. The face of the class, Colton Gothier, already officially signed, Chris. And I saw the comments going throughout the interview, and lots of excited Gamecock fans just to sort of get to know Colton a little bit better off the field and learn about the musical career as well. Plus, sort of you have a well-rounded guy as far as on the field and off the field with Colton Gauthier.
Yeah, really interesting kid. Always, have great conversations with him. I ran into him at a camp in Georgia back in the spring or summer, and had a chance to talk with him a lot there. So that always a good time. I mean, just really interesting kid, a really sort of marketable, kid when you start thinking about that. But he's I think the word that we've used in talking about his game on the field is just he's an intriguing kid because he has improved a lot from earlier in his career to his senior season, which he discussed. And in terms of physical tools, he's got a lot of those things. He's 6'4", he's about 210, 215 pounds, so he's gotten bigger. He can make the throws. He can escape the pocket. He can run a little bit. He can do some run game stuff for you or buy himself time in the pocket or run outside the pocket. And so he's got all those things. And, I do think it would be interesting. He mentioned having 4 OCs in 4 years, basically, and 3 head coaches. I mean, what if this guy played at a big, name program, in the state of Georgia that was loaded with talent and had, complete stability in the coaching staff? Maybe the numbers are even better. Maybe the profile is even bigger. But we've seen this guy throw. We've talked to him a lot, and he's got a lot of really interesting characteristics, whether it's, on or off the field.
Great personality, as y'all saw. You can always sort of, I don't know, man, there's a certain intangible quality that you need in your quarterbacks. Not that they all have to have the same personality, but he's got a little bit of an edge to him. He's got some sort of almost quiet confidence about him. Something that I think, as you said, man, going from one scheme to another can't be easy.
Oh, yeah.
But to go from one scheme to another 4 times in a row, I mean, it's got to probably all run together at some point. He's got to be thrilled to be able to come in, have, in theory, one coordinator, one quarterback's coach, figure it all out, and then be able to build off, because a lot of times you sort of build a foundation within a scheme, and then you maybe feel a little bit more comfortable letting that quarterback do a little bit more, maybe have a little more control as far as at the line of scrimmage, changing things up. The really good quarterbacks are the ones that are able to get settled in to where they're not having to think as they play. It had to be tough having to sort of process things in 4 different schemes. So I'll be curious to see. You really have a situation at South Carolina. You have really good competition at the quarterback position, I think, but that's going to be anywhere. And this is a kid that's bought in to South Carolina. He chose the school as opposed to just choosing a coach. And I think we maybe have been, because of the coaching change and everything else being a focus, Colton Gothier maybe hasn't gotten quite as much attention as he would have any other year if you look at South Carolina signing him. So I think this is somebody South Carolina fans should very much be excited about.
Yeah, you're exactly right. I think we touched on that the other day. He's sort of been sandwiched in between, Luke Doty and, Ryan Helensky, people remembering him from the 2019 class, how high profile he was, him being on the roster, Luke Doty, being a former 4-star, being on the roster, and then carrying it forward to Gunnar Stockton with all the accolades he's gotten. And Gunnar and Colton, by the way, know each other. I mean, we've talked with him about that before. So he has gotten lost in the shuffle a little bit. It's been almost strange, but there's been a lot of other things around that probably, like you said, man, sort of weigh into that. But certainly someone from a trait standpoint, whether it's personality or physical tools, there's a lot there, that can carry forward to make him successful at the college level. So not a guy at all that needs to be written off in terms of thinking about his potential to play in the future.
Yep. So hitting the chat, looks like everybody. I mean, we knew Colton would be a great interview, but people who have not seen him before are already sort of seeing that and hearing that he is a really well-spoken kid, really just seems to have it together. And I do want to throw another shout out, Chris, if I can find it, to our super chatters. We had a God, did it disappear on me?
I got it right here. You want me to put it up?
Do you have the one from earlier as well? We've had two now.
Yeah, it did disappear on us. Maybe they've been rolling in so quickly that
yeah.
But that was from Jeffrey Hicklin.
Okay, there you go. So shout out to Jeffrey. We appreciate the tip there, and Greg throwing a super chat as well. Want to know about the portal, and I think that will start an important conversation. We're going to get into the guys that have signed and the guys that haven't, but the portal will be a big part. We've talked about this on the show probably almost too much. People are probably tired of hearing about it, but the portal will be a big part of what South Carolina is going to do moving forward. And you have some guys in there that you can already see fans start to sort of circle and say, hey, is this guy a possibility? Is this guy a possibility? Greg asked about DeMarcus Gregory, Cooper Dawson, Brandon Hill, Tank Robinson. Of those four, Greg, the one that stands out to me as being a possibility or a stronger possibility, and this stuff is going to be fluid because there's going to be new names in there every single day. But I look at Brandon Hill, a kid that played his high school ball. He actually played his high school ball in Columbia at Heathwood. I think he's technically from Orangeburg originally as far as hometown goes. But either way, Palmetto State guy, a productive linebacker at Duke, has played a ton there. I looked at his PFF grade for his career. It's pretty solid. He's the guy on that list, Chris, that I would probably think is most worth looking at as far as South Carolina goes and being a possibility. I've heard there's – stop me if you've heard this before. There's some Georgia Tech buzz. Georgia Tech getting very active in the transfer portal this offseason. They're involved here as well. He's a very smart kid, obviously about to be a graduate from Duke. He is a graduate transfer kid, so would be able to play right away regardless of if the new NCAA transfer rules go into place. But he's the guy I would be paying attention to if I'm a Gamecock fan looking at that list.
Yeah, that would definitely be one. The others, DeMarcus Gregory does play a need position, but I'm not sure at this point that he's going to be one to check on. Cooper Dawson, originally from Hanahan, picked Syracuse over Clemson, during the process because Syracuse wanted him to play defensive line. I think Clemson recruiting him as an offensive lineman. So that one will be interesting. Haven't really heard any early buzz there or South Carolina, potential involvement yet. We'll track that. Tank Robinson, who played at Lake Marion and was at ECU, I believe, has actually already expressed his intent to transfer to Charlotte. So he is going to be headed there. All indications are. Wes, we got another super chat from Justin Hill. We got an exciting announcement about one of our sponsors.
Okay.
Friends at Dead Soxy have released the product that we've been sort of teasing on the show for a while now. They have their new college socks. We're calling them, this is an unofficial name, the Spur line. That's not what they're called, but that's what we made up. So they've got some that are striped. They've got some Spurs. So make sure you hit deadsoxy.com, DEADSOXY.com. Use the code HOLIDAYPRO. You get 35% off. We posted these on GamecockCentral.com. But if you go to deadsoxy.com, you're going to go up to the top, click on college. It'll give you sort of an interactive map. Click on SC, and you will see they've got 2 packs. of the socks right up there for you. So whether you want some for yourself, you want some for your fellow Gamecock fan, really cool design and great product. No slip technology, as always, with Dead Soxy. Super comfortable. And so make sure you check those guys out. And, of course, check out the game day chair from affordablemedicalusa.com as well. And, yep, there you see them. So pretty cool stuff. Everybody was very concerned about the bronze Gamecock statue in front of Williams-Brice not having spurs. They did not forget them on these. These have spurs. So make sure you check those out and grab yourself a pair from deadsoxy.com.
The Spurs are available. That's a good thing. Justin Hill throwing a super chat in there as well. The super chat thing has taken off, man. I never want it to seem like we're begging for those, but at the same time, I got to say I appreciate them very much. Appreciate all of you, though, whether you're super chatting or just watching or hanging out or listening on the podcast after the fact. But Justin wants to know, which position do we believe is the most important to fill in the offseason? And, I mean, Chris, I hate to be a broken record, but I'm going to be a broken record and say it's got to still be wide receiver. I mean, that's the position you can – if I made a top four – of positions, there would be some others that would very clearly be in that top four. I'd say linebacker, especially with the loss of Ernest Jones. I would have had linebacker in there even before that, frankly. But with Ernest out, it's an even bigger issue. I'd probably have secondary as third, DBs as third. But, man, Chris, to me, it always goes back to wide receiver, because I look at this offense and I say there are actually some really nice building blocks in place. There's a foundation. Running back, you feel good about that. There's some tight ends to work with, particularly if Nick Muse comes back. Offensive line, where there's some struggles in pass protection this year, yes. But it was a really good run blocking line. And you still have some young athletes at tackle, or some inexperienced athletes at tackle, like Jazz. So that's a position I don't think you're super entirely just crazy worried about for the future. We know what they have at quarterback. The offense could go from being a huge concern to having some pieces to work with very quickly if they could just somehow fix the wide receiver position.
Yeah, because next year, you get Marshawn Lloyd to add to Kevin Harris. That was running back was sort of a question going in. Felt like they had some guys, but some inexperience. Kevin Harris answered that question. And then you add Marshawn Lloyd to that fold next year. Again, tight end, a little bit of a question, but you have some guys. Offensive line, there's still going to be some pieces. And so you do have to solidify a quarterback. But a big part of that is going to be, adding talent to that receiver room. And so how will South Carolina do that? Well, ideally, you're going to do it through a combination of maybe some high school and some junior college work from now until February. And then obviously transfer portal, which we've talked about a ton, but that's definitely going to be a priority when you look at, okay, what spots are they going to go really hit the portal hard for? Wide receiver is going to be number one, probably, and number two, if you're talking about the important positions.
Well, and I made the comment, man, in an ideal world, if you're South Carolina between now and next season, you would land a freshman receiver that you think could help, a JUCO receiver that you think could help, and a transfer receiver that you think could help. Basically all three. And that's the spot. I don't think you're saying no to anybody that could help. I think you're willing to oversign at that position just to try to get it fixed. And I think that's what you have to do. Not that these other needs aren't important as well, because as we said, there are some other important spots to fix, because let's call it is what it is. You won 2 games. So there are clearly some other holes that are going to have to be patched and filled. But I sort of think of it as start with your, you may have a few little tiny holes over here, but if you have this big, massive hole in the wall, over here, you better fix the big hole first. And that's the way I sort of see it right now. So let's get a little bit into this recruiting class, Chris, as we are doing this live. What I'm about to say, if you're listening on the podcast, this may have changed slightly by the time you're hearing this. But those of you who are on with us live right now, Wednesday afternoon, 2:41, most of the expected signees for today are already in. When we started the show, actually right after we started the show, Caleb Juju McDowell, the running back from Georgia, officially sent in his stuff and was approved by the school, et cetera, et cetera. They announced him. So at this point, we already know Colton Gothier. He was on the show a little bit earlier. He is in officially. Omega Blake is in officially. The athlete / wide receiver from South Point. Jordan Davis, 3-star offensive lineman from Fairburn, Georgia. Creekside, he is in officially. Marcellus Dial, Georgia military defensive back, who's originally from South Carolina. He is in. Sam Reynolds from Alabaster, Alabama, Thompson High School. He is in as well. We are still currently, and I believe we will get this probably a little bit after the show actually goes off the air. Nick Barrett, defensive tackle from North Carolina. Actually, really a huge part of this class, in my opinion, someone that's not been talked about enough, a major target for South Carolina, and someone that they internally believed was a steal that will probably, if you're listening on this on the podcast, be in the boat before we go off the air here recording it live. So the other guys that are left, you have TJ Sanders from Marion, who has confirmed multiple times now he will be waiting until February. John Darius Morgan from Birmingham, Alabama, a big offensive line prospect who we are told will be waiting until February as well. So past that, so that's where things sit right now. Past that, you have the uncommitted guys that South Carolina has still been trying to turn here on signing day, here during the early signing period. And I think you have several kids who are maybe a little bit torn in some cases. And then you have some kids, I would say an Isaiah Norris, who is another Georgia Military College JUCO defensive back, also from the state of South Carolina, that I think we felt like South Carolina was in pretty good shape with. It's been a matter, Chris, of when is he actually going to sign? And there was a thought that it would maybe be today. To this point at 2:43 p.m., that has not happened yet. But certainly someone South Carolina wants to get back into the Palmetto State and wants to have in this class.
Yeah, so I just got a note from Isaiah Norris on the show. He
As
is.
did I.
Yeah. So we both got that back. We've both been trying to reach out. So it looks like, from what he's telling me, Wes, and we'll compare notes here live. It looks like not announcing until Christmas. But I did ask him if he was deciding today, and he said yes, but announcing on Christmas. So trying to get confirmation if he's going to quietly sign and not have it released. But he has been targeting going ahead and finalizing a decision. So what we don't know as of 2:44 p.m. now is he quietly signing and not having it released until later, or is he just finalizing the choice in his mind and then going ahead and announcing it, at a later date? So Christmas is when we'll publicly apparently know Isaiah Norris's decision. We do think South Carolina is still in good shape. T.O. Hanna native, a guy who is a guy with some coverage ability, which they obviously need to add to the cornerback ranks. And so don't think that really changes, the outlook, but there is sort of a pushback in terms of timeline.
Yeah, so that was interesting. That's live. It's doing a live show for you there, but he did tell me the same thing, so that's good. We're on the exact same page. Isaiah Norris, someone South Carolina would really like to add, as I said, to this class, and that's kind of been the approach, Chris. There's been, I use the word judicious in that I think, and I looked it up to make sure I was using it correctly, and I think that I am. Beamer has been very judicious in the approach before, leading into the early signing period. Now, there have been some guys, including Isaiah Norris, that are uncommitted to South Carolina that they have tried to go out and add. for the most part, it's been about some versatility and leaving some numbers available for February and then the transfer portal. But JUCO seems to be the approach right now. Can you add a guy or two at a major position of need? And I think you look Byron Young, and I'm very hesitant right now because with Byron Young, we're not going to talk long because by the time other people hear this show, things may have changed again. But I think it's safe to say, based on what I have been told, that we know South Carolina would love to have Byron Young, who is a JUCO defensive end from Georgia Military, maybe the most highly recruited defensive end at the JUCO level that's left uncommitted. And B, I think it's safe to say that the kid is torn with what he's going to do at this point, or has been torn today, because he's been introduced to the business side here in that his recruitment blew up late. We thought maybe, I think with everything happening at South Carolina, they were sort of out of it because of all the Muschamp stuff. Auburn positioned themselves pretty well, but then Auburn has a coaching change of their own. Beamer comes in, starts making him an immediate priority in the last week. Carolina sort of started working their way back into the conversation. He's from South Carolina, but his family right now is in Georgia where he's living. So you have a lot of little different things involved here. You have the Auburn aspect, Chris. Florida State is a school that's been mentioned to me at times with him. Now, Ole Miss is trying to push into the mix, and some of their people think they have a decent shot at him. A lot going on, and a strong final battle here, it seems like, for Byron Young, who's just stuck in the middle of it and hasn't really been able to visit any of these places.
Yeah. I mean, this is the tough part of it for Byron Young and Columbus, Georgia, or Auburn. I do think, without the coaching change in Auburn, I was leaning towards thinking he would probably sign with Auburn. But like you said, man, really up in the air now, 2:47 p.m. We're not sure yet what'll happen. We don't know if we'll even know today. If we're just talking about right now live what we think, it's hard to tell. And so will it take some more time to sort out? Maybe. He is a guy that's already graduated. He's finished up at Georgia Military College, so he's ready to go in terms of enrolling in January, but we don't know yet. And so he's a guy that could definitely help. Need position for South Carolina to add, another guy on the defensive line. It'd be a big pickup for them, but it's sort of unclear what's going to happen right now.
Yep. Also in the unclear category, unless something has happened since we went on, which is actually a possibility. I don't know if you've seen, Chris. So Quaymon Davis, JUCO kid, we were tracking coming in. It feels like this has been a little bit more and more of a long shot gradually as the day has progressed. You never know. But Florida, it came in with South Carolina and Florida State being the two biggest schools involved with Quaymon Davis. He is a JUCO wide receiver, currently out in Mississippi. Now you have Ole Miss, who's gotten strongly involved. We know that the Mississippi schools, Ole Miss and Mississippi State, do very well recruiting Mississippi JUCOs when they want a kid. Mm-hmm. B, we know what Lane Kiffin has been able to do to showcase receivers in that offense. So that's a problem. I think if you're South Carolina, do we know? And I'm putting you on the spot, Chris. Is there anything new that we know on Quaymon Davis? I know earlier there really wasn't a whole lot.
Yeah, it's been very quiet. We ran something after I chatted with him maybe last week or something after South Carolina had offered and gotten involved. It didn't take long for Shane Beamer to extend him an offer once he took his post as the head coach at Carolina. And then it was thought of as, hey, this is probably going to be South Carolina FSU. Well, behind the scenes, Ole Miss has made its move. You mentioned them doing really good work in state at the junior colleges and high school levels. That's sort of what's going on here. I mean, he played high school ball in Mississippi, stayed in the state of Mississippi for junior college ball at Itawamba. And so they've been making a big push behind the scenes. And so is FSU. And obviously South Carolina is still making efforts there too. So we don't know yet. Right here speaking live, we don't know what's going to happen quite yet. It's from what he told us in his previous, line of thinking as far as his timeline. something was probably going to come down today, but just not clear. But again, need position, good player, good prospect at the junior college level. But we've seen, the competition level has really only increased going into today.
Yeah. So big picture here, Chris. I believe you said Nick Barrett said maybe 4:00 potentially for his. Yeah, he told us 4:00. So in real time here, we're at 2:51. Assuming that South Carolina doesn't pull a surprise between now and when you're hearing this, and assuming that Barrett signs with South Carolina as is fully expected, the Gamecocks will basically end today as far as public signees, because now we know that Isaiah Norris is going to announce on Christmas. Public signees, you're looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, including Barrett, 5, 6, 7. So you'd end the day with 7 signees and then 2 verbal commitments, which would give you 9 if you have the entire recruiting class, and then the possibility of adding an Isaiah Norris down the road on Christmas. And I still think that's a strong possibility. I think Carolina has done enough there. I think it makes so much sense that they'll be in good shape there. So, and we'll certainly try to find out if he did go ahead and send in a letter of intent, if Carolina's in good shape there. And then the possibility, the hope for them of a Byron Young. I tend to think Quaymon Davis, unless it's a complete sort of surprise. I just feel my gut is there. It won't be good for South Carolina. So let's sort of split the difference. If they get Isaiah Norris, if they were to miss on the other 2, then you're basically talking about 10 guys that are in the recruiting class.
Mm-hmm.
So that would put South Carolina going into February and going into the rest of the offseason. You have to add 4 more because they counted 4 of them from last class forward. So that puts you at 14. If my math is correct, which it isn't always, but I think I am right here, that would leave them with 11 slots left, essentially, because you have to count all initial counters, whether they're transfers, whether they're high school signees, JUCO signees, doesn't matter. You got to count them all. So that would give them 11 slots left for February and for transfers to try and fill these immediate needs.
Yep. Yeah, and so the common question was, well, how many guys will South Carolina take out of the portal? How many will be from the recruiting ranks? We don't really know. The portal is such a fluid thing. They're going to constantly have to weigh, is this guy from high school better short and long term than this guy that we can maybe get out of the portal? We would love to have this guy out of the portal, but what's the competition level? Can we get him? Those are the types of conversations that they're going to have. And so when you look out there, you think of receiver, just to use as an example, for February, carrying it forward, there are going to be some guys, Keon Coleman, for example, Jordan Mosley, who's going to wait now out of Alabama, the Tennessee commitment. Just to use those 2 guys as an example, those will be 2 that South Carolina wants to obviously maybe go out and sign, but they're also going to have portal spots. And, you're not going to bring in 8 receivers in this class, even though it seems like you might need to. You're going to have to balance those numbers. And so who's attainable? What's the best play? What's the best management? So you think, 11 spots, you obviously are going to have to hit your top priorities of receiver, DB, linebacker, and then pass rush. And so those are the 4 spots primarily that you're going to need to go and hit, with those 11 spots. So do you count it as 2 each, 2.5 each? How do you play it? Probably. And then you have to figure out the best options from there.
Yeah. So, Chris, I think moving forward, that will be because some of these guys in the portal, I mean, we've already seen some guys in the portal making decisions. So some of them will be making decisions, in January, and you'll have a decent feel, I think, for, okay, you either get the guy or you don't, and you may say we're completely all in, spend the scholarship, get the kid or not. If you miss, you use that scholarship on somebody else. I think the interesting decision will become February. How many do you hold just for the possibility
Yeah.
of getting a post spring transfer? So
Yeah, because then it's like there's no guarantee. I think what it's probably going to end up being is, like say South Carolina knows for sure that it can get Keon Coleman and Jordan Mosley, and that both of those guys at some point. And I'm not saying that'll happen. Don't say Chris said this happened.
Quoting you.
But let's say hypothetically it happened. Well, you probably take those guys, right? Now, maybe you go out and say, well, let's go get a transfer portal receiver in addition to that. But then you might have to think about pulling back on another spot because you do have 11 to play with. So, yeah, I mean, you probably are going to want to have a few utility sort of slots, just some flexibility to go get best player available, or maybe you feel like you need to add some quality, but you are going to be at the mercy of the portal as far as who's in it, who you can get.
I want to give a shout out to Steven, who signed up for Gamecock Central today. I posted the code a little bit earlier to get a free trial, but actually, if you want to use the code Gamecocks, you can get 50% off currently, and would love for anybody who's here on the show to come join us over on GamecockCentral.com, which is where we hang out most of the time. Also, want to apologize for some of the comments that have now been deleted on the YouTube chat. We want to keep the YouTube chat completely clean and no controversy there. We're here to talk about sports, not other type of BS. But yes, Kyle Shiloh was the transfer that we already had the story written about. And I think most people sort of had figured that one out and had gotten there. But yeah, he was the guy. All right, Chris, we're sort of getting to the end here, man. What are your final thoughts maybe on the class so far? Or is there a guy in the class so far that you would like to kind of highlight, or that you think Gamecock fans maybe need to maybe an award for a guy? I don't know. I sort of have my most underrated at this point. So what's sort of your final thoughts here for the day? And then tomorrow, I think on Gamecock Central, for those of you who are already subscribers, we will go ahead and be looking ahead. Now that we know what the signees are for the early signing period, what do you need to be looking at next? Who are the names to keep an eye on? And we will be able to very quickly move this thing forward as far as what's next for Shane Beamer and the staff.
Yes, I mean, not a super. We realize not a super, exciting day, but a lot of it was we sort of knew that it would be a smaller class. There are a few guys that South Carolina was going to take a swing on. They might miss on some of those, but obviously you think about some of the circumstances were difficult, in order to do that. But the current class, a couple of guys that I just don't feel like are getting talked about maybe enough. Nick Barrett, who you referenced earlier, Wes, I think is a really high upside player because he's a big, 6'3", 320-pound, defensive tackle who I think can move and could be a space eater up front. And then also Juju McDowell, is another one that comes to mind for me, a guy that sort of more of a utility type of back, but he's been super productive. I mean, Lee County, really good high school football program. Jamie Robinson played his senior year there, and he's done really well in terms of producing on the field for them. And a guy that can catch it, he can run it, he can play on special teams, and I think he's a sort of an intriguing prospect in this class.
No doubt. I do want to hit this final super chat from Jeffrey Hicklin again. Jeffrey kicked off the super chats today and is going to finish them off as well. Predictions on starting safeties. Wow.
Yeah.
I would normally, Jeffrey, honestly, I would normally give you I have no idea, but he did throw a super chat at us, Chris. So we're going to try.
I would,
Hey, and real quick, Chris, let me say, I don't know if you saw this with everything else going on. Supposedly, Jamie Robinson has said on Instagram today that he's staying on his story. So we'll assume for this question that Jamie Robinson is back.
Yeah, assume
that helps.
Right. Yeah. So, yeah, I would pick Jamie. Probably, Jamie and maybe Jalen Dickerson, would probably be the two guys that come to mind for me, at least. Now, could it be a junior college guy or a transfer could be one of those spots. Yeah. I mean, it would not be surprising. But just going off of what we have to go on and what we know right now, assuming no defections, that's probably the direction I would go.
Yeah, that's the so who are the safeties when South Carolina's in nickel?
Stop. No, we're not. No, Wes, we're not talking about that. Wes, you got to put your super chat up. I'll answer that question.
Jalen Foster will be back, so that's another guy who will be in the mix, and maybe it is a JUCO, man. Maybe there's somebody else that is involved. They really so shout out to Anthony Belt, by the way, who says I mean we love compliments obviously, but Anthony, earlier on we were talking about positions of need. He said D-line, linebacker, and secondary, which obviously is the entire defense. So, I don't think, Chris, now the results this year on defense, it was obviously a struggle, right? I don't know that the defense, I still think maybe I'm completely homer in this thinking. I still think there are some young foundational pieces when I look at especially the defensive line, maybe at cornerback with John Dixon and Cam Smith getting valuable minutes. Jamie Robinson, if that is the case that he's back, I still think there are some guys on the defense that you can build around. Does the defense have to get better as a unit? Does some of that potentially change with maybe a change in thinking? We don't know who the defense coordinator is yet. We don't know what the scheme will be. We don't know how these guys fit in. We don't know transfers. But I don't think it's like stocked, for Bear that you're going to be an elite defense. But I also don't think it's true to say that it's completely, entirely devoid of talent either. There's a great place to start on that defensive line if you can keep all those guys in play and give them an entire year of development and actually have a spring practice and have that development time for these kids.
Yeah, that's a good point. There are still some guys. I mean, you look at Jordan Birch and, now which guys will come back? I mean, there's some upperclassmen. You look at JJ Anigbare. I mean, could some of the senior, will Aaron Sterling say, you know what, I was injured most of the year, I'm going to come back again? Or will he go transfer somewhere to play another year? I mean, these are all questions that have to be answered, but Cam and Johnny Dixon certainly made some strides. They had to play a lot at the end of the year, and I think they've done some good things and they've progressed. So, linebackers a big concern. I think slots in the secondary, some depth in the secondary is a concern, and the D-line's got to play better. But it's not completely devoid of talent to where there's just no like you said, foundational pieces. There are some of those things there. Josh, I will answer other questions. It's not only tough. You don't have to do a super chat for tough questions.
I feel like we answer a lot of questions.
I didn't want to answer Wes's just to annoy him. So
yeah, admittedly, if you throw a super chat, that maybe shoots you to the top of the line.
Well, it's only fair. Yeah. I mean,
that's just out of appreciation,
right? Of
somebody coming out of their wallet. So, we appreciate all of you though. It's all in fun. It's all good. We're all good. Tim wants to know, is Ortre coming back? Tim, gotta get you signed up to Gamecock Central, man.
Yeah.
Chris, you want to hit on that?
Yeah, I got even a little. We had a report on that on the Insiders Forum recently, and got a little bit even yesterday. Ortre is actually going to be a graduate did graduate from South Carolina, and obviously has more time left to where he wants to play. So he is healthy. He's graduated, and from what I'm told, has remained engaged with the team. For instance, the team meeting that Shane Beamer had a couple Sundays ago, he was there. And so it sounds like, from what I've picked up, he still wants to play football, and right now is on track to play here. Could something change? Yeah, but that's sort of where it's at right now.
Chris, that could be a very sneaky, nice addition for Shane Beamer.
Yeah.
Because we all saw what Ortre did as a true freshman. We don't need to go all through the reasons why and the the injuries and the knee thing and all that. But if he's back and wants to play at South Carolina and is feels good, then there's no doubt in my mind Ortre Smith can be a starting wide receiver for South Carolina. So that's a good question and something to keep an eye on moving forward. All right, we're well over an hour. If you missed our interview with Colton Gothier, I think you'll like it. Go back and watch the beginning of the show. Good stuff. Or if you just want to listen to it, it'll be posted on the podcast. But come check us out. Come hang out with us at GamecockCentral.com. We'll be back on the air tomorrow afternoon. For Chris, I'm Wes. We'll see you then.